5 foods you should never eat if you want to lose belly fat. In no way am I about to say that you can never have these foods ever again. It's all based on moderation and only having these maybe once a fortnight. If you're really wanting to get and meet your fat loss goals and your body goals, then you really need to make sure that this type of food is not in your diet. So let's go. Okay, tip number 1 is high processed foods. Now this is going to be things like your salamis, sausage rolls, hams, foods that are highly processed like that because it's not allowing the body to digest the food the way that it needs to be digested. It also contains some pretty cheap fat that the body doesn't know what to do with. It's not something that you're feeding it normally anyway, so it doesn't know what to do. Number 2 is deep fried foods. You want to make sure you're not consuming heaps of deep fried foods. That means things like, you know, fish and chips or even Mars bars. We do that in Australia, deep fried Mars bars. So when the food is deep fried, it actually goes into the process of absorbing the food. So then this means that that food that you put in before it was deep fried has now almost doubled or tripled based on the oil that you're actually using. So it contains more calories, which can cause high cholesterol and high blood pressure, which then can amount to a few different heart problems, and that's the last thing you want. Number 3, sugary drinks. When we drink sugary drinks, our insulin levels are spiked for about 20 minutes. And what that does is it puts a body into a state of confusion with all this insulin pumping around, the body's not being able to use that energy. So what does it do? It stores it for fat for later. Number 4 is sugary desserts. Pretty much the same as the sugary drinks. You'll find that what will happen is the insulin spike goes all the way up, and before you know it, that's getting stored back into your fat cells, whether it's your lower belly, your lower back, anything like that. The body's really going to store that fat for later. The thing with fat cells is they're kind of like a black hole. Fat cells almost don't have a limit, so you can just keep feeding fat into it, which is why we see a lot of really large people out there, because the fat cells don't have a border for them to stop. So they just keep absorbing and growing and growing and growing to the point where other issues start to arise like heart and cholesterol and blood pressure and things like that. And number 5 is cereal. Cereal tastes great, don't get me wrong, but there's a reason why it tastes great. Because it's full of sugar. It's full of simple carbohydrates that get digested super quickly, cause that insulin spike, and then that gets stored as fat. And when do we usually have cereal? First thing in the morning. And that's the worst time that you want to have an insulin spike, because that's why you get a big hit of energy, then you go to work, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, and then you usually have a crash, and then you need another pick-me-up. So just be careful with that. Opt out for cereal for something else when it comes to stabilizing foods that aren't going to spike your insulin levels, like nuts and meats and so on. Now, before you go crazy, in no way do I want you to think that I'm saying you can never have these foods ever again. Don't get me wrong, I love my salted caramel covered ice cream, peanut butter fudge food. I can't get enough of it, I love it. But I have it in moderation, and for me, moderation is once a fortnight, because I know that I can work hard for 2 weeks and create that caloric deficit to then have that meal that I like. And it's not something that's going to be excessive. It's only going to be a little amount. It's not going to be like a tiny mouthful, but it's going to be enough that it meets that feeling that I need to have that I'm missing out on. So in no way am I saying cut it out of your life forever, but if you are looking to optimize your body and your physique and get that body and the six-pack you really want, then you need to make some sacrifices, and that's where you're gonna start. So for me, for example, when I was about 13-14% body fat, I had to cut out all of that for me to get down to about 5 to 6% roughly. If you have any questions, then just drop them in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys and what you might want to see next. If this video helped you out, hit that like button and smash the subscribe in the face. That way you can stay up to date with any other videos I come out with, and hopefully I can create some videos for you guys that you want to see. So don't forget, you are unique. There is no one else in this world like you. Be yourself, be courageous, and don't be scared to do things that other people aren't doing. Until next time, stay shredded, bruz.